Hey everybody, this is Rob Steinman, the host of Random Encounter. I wanted to put a little bumper at the start of this episode because we did something that, looking back on it, I probably shouldn't have done. You know how we get off topic sometimes on episodes of Random Encounter, and on this episode, we started talking a little bit about Super Mario Odyssey, and we ended up talking about the last area of the game. I want to be very respectful to people who are kind of sensitive to spoilers. I know I'm the same way. So if you are sensitive to knowing about the last couple areas of Super Mario Odyssey, we bring it up a couple times in the episode. Consider this a warning. You should be going out and playing that game because it is pretty awesome despite my rage at it in places. But I just wanted to put this bumper right here. We're going to talk a little bit about the last couple areas of Super Mario Odyssey. Fair warning. This is your warning. And now we will start the show. Hello and welcome to episode 136 of Random Encounter, the RPG fan podcast. I'm your host, Robert Steinman, Pale Robbie on the boards. Hey, Derek.
Yeah, what's up?
Want to know some interesting facts?
I would love to know some interesting facts.
I can confirm, although I'm not recommending that our listeners do this, that the Switch Pro controller is a very durable piece of material.
Why am I not surprised at all that you haven't tested that?
What have you done to it?
Yeah, what game did you play and get mad at?
The last...
But Bloodborne isn't on the Switch yet.
No. The Darker Side of the Moon final challenge in Super Mario Odyssey.
Yeah.
Wow, did I spike that controller off a hardwood floor.
We got to get you therapy or something, Rob.
Look. I love Super Mario Odyssey. That game is amazing. But my God, that final challenge is just like every slight annoyance I have with that game piled on top of each other, doused with gasoline, and then lit on fire. Like,
oh, man.
I said to Jackie, don't ever let me play this game again. Like, I'm done. I'm never playing this challenge ever again. Have you tried it, Derek?
The challenge or the game? I did some of the stuff on the dark side. Not like the final one, I don't think. No,
so the bonus one that you need 250 moons in order to access?
500.
Oh, really?
500 Darker Side of the Moon challenge.
Darker. Oh, I haven't been to Darker Side. Never mind.
Where it's like a 14 challenge level of just almost every power-up / ability that you can get in Super Mario Odyssey, including the awful lava pit jumping mechanics. And you have to do it perfectly on one life, and if you fail, you have to restart the entire challenge.
No, thank you.
No, I'm done. Pass. I'm not doing it again. Like that. Man, I spiked the controller so hard, I fully expected to look down and see it broken in half. Like, it was...
That was you screaming out for release in the only way you knew how.
I need to know my limits, and that was I've really, really enjoyed that game. Yeah, some challenges have been a little obnoxious. I think some mechanics don't work as well as others, but that's like par for the course with a game that's that huge. Like, I'm okay with that. But this, don't do it. Just don't do it. Don't do it.
Maybe I'll unlock it and then never try it.
Okay, that's Derek, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm Derek Ultra Heemsbergen. That's me. I'm Emirion on the boards. I'm the third version of Derek Heemsbergen that has like maybe 3 more Pokemon and the cool mini game and Move Tutor. And I'm still $40.
Wow.
I could be DLC, but I don't want to be.
I'm going to ask about Pokemon Sun and Moon in a few minutes, so we will get there. We will get there, I promise. Then on the show, we also have Caitlin. I can't believe she was right about Xenoblade Chronicles X Argyros.
X?
Sorry, Xenoblade. Sorry, this god-awful naming. The god-awful naming conventions. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 coming out.
Xenoblade 2, the third game in the Xenoblade Chronicles series.
I remember I
Like they're
complained about
challenging Kingdom Hearts a little bit, aren't they?
Yeah.
I complained about the title of Xenoblade Chronicles X at that E3, and nobody backed me up. Can we now all agree that the naming convention has
bullshit.
gotten bad?
Now it's bad.
I don't think I didn't back you up on that.
Nobody on that podcast, everyone was like, I don't know, I think the title's fine. And I'm like, between that and Rise of the Tomb Raider, I want to kill myself. Like, this is
Dawn
awful.
of the Rise of the Tomb Raider Revelations. Origins.
Do you know it's War for the Planet of the Apes, not War of the Planet of the Apes? It's War for the Planet of the Apes.
Well, I'm glad they think they're special.
That's Caitlin, everybody.
Hi, Link is there on the boards.
I still can't believe it's coming out. I never in a million years thought that Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was going to come out.
Yeah,
Like-
it very much exists.
Unless they delay it next week. That
No,
would be
they won't.
No.
No,
Oh,
like,
my.
people
It's a done-
people had their hands on it. Undisclosed people who I don't know.
I will.
Yes.
I will accept payment in the form of money orders and checks, personal checks.
What, when you're proven right?
Yes, of course.
I'm very excited to play it. I have my special edition pre-ordered. It will hopefully be here next Friday, and I just have to beat Danganronpa V3 before then. I'm on the last case, and that stinger for the end of Case 5. Derek, I hate you. I absolutely hate you, and if that's the direction they're going in, I'm going to drive out to Arizona, and I'm going to rip your nuts
Hey,
off.
I didn't write it, dude.
But, like, you should never have let me play this game if that turns out to be the Like, absolutely not. Like,
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. Have fun.
Anywho. We also have some new blood on the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. We have Nathan Lee, everybody.
Hey, everyone.
This is the
Oh,
part
so
where
I just want to do an introduction, right?
yeah, you have to do your own introduction. I don't have a name stored up
All right.
for you yet.
All right, so I'm Smash King on the boards. I am RPG Fan's newest reviews editor, and I'm a hardcore Nintendo fan. That's really all you need to really know about me.
Are you the newest editor still?
Reviews editor. That was got through probation. Yes.
We make it sound so dire. Probation. More like
I
we just
felt that
wanted to make
way,
sure
actually.
you weren't like crazy and gonna like I don't know run off on us. I don't know. But glad to have you.
You never know.
just sure you might be. I mean, I'm crazy and I'm still here, so clearly that's not criteria for expulsion.
We're all crazy, I think, is the answer.
About
Some-
RPGs.
Yep.
What?
It's true. I'm eating
All
breakfast.
right.
There it
So,
is.
And that's me.
So there's no real news to talk about. Nothing that got announced that everybody's really excited about. No game.
not at all.
Nothing
Not at
that
all.
seems like a giant apology letter, and it's not like a game company, got everybody all excited and then released a freaking Muso game and made everybody think that the franchise was dead, and now all of a sudden they're bringing out a fourth entry. God, nothing like that
Yeah.
happened. Oh yeah,
I think
Valkyria
Man, I love
Chronicles.
That rings a bell.
Valkyria Chronicles 4 is a thing, and it looks awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
It just
So,
looks like full on Valkyria.
What
Maybe Revolution was a smokescreen, and they were like, "We're gonna keep you occupied with this crap while we're working on the real thing, and then if it turns out okay, maybe it'll make us some money. But then
They intentionally
stuff.
wanted to lower expectations so that we'd all freak out when they
Ooh.
announced Valkyria Chronicles 4. And
maybe
Sega, maybe you could also finally get us Valkyria Chronicles. I'm never going to stop asking for that. I really am not.
That's
How would you like
real
them to do it? Do you want them to do like a remaster for PS4 or like just a Vita release or what?
I think Vita would be a bad idea at this point. Either PS4 or port it to Steam to PC and have it there maybe. Be great. So
Perhaps an unpopular standpoint, considering I'm going to talk about a game I'm playing on my Vita right now later in this episode, but I'm just kind of done with my Vita. Like I'm done. I played some great games on it and I appreciate it for what it is, but now that Switch exists, even my 3DS I feel like I'm kind of moving away from. But I just want to have all my stuff unified on one console, and god damn do I love the Switch. So Valkyria 4 is coming to Switch, right?
yes.
So why not Valkyria 3 port? I don't know.
I really want to see how it runs on Switch. Like this is the thing I'm a little concerned about with the Switch. Like we've had the reports coming out that all the Japanese third parties are all running around with their hair on fire, going, "Holy crap, we got to release things for Switch!" And I'm like, okay, but like, don't release a port on the Switch that is like in shambles compared to the big console versions. Like, I'm that makes me a little nervous. Like, I don't want to get like what was it? Dragon Quest Heroes 2 apparently does not run very well on Switch at all. Like,
it makes me nervous because I've said it a million times. I'm way more of a frame rate snob than like the graphical quality or resolution snob. I'd rather play my game at a lower res, like Neo in its performance mode or what have you. I am so about frame rate, and so it feels like that's the corner they're cutting to get games on Switch. Is like they can move the game over and sort of port it, but like it's going to have some kind of a hit in terms of performance, and I just wish that wasn't the case. Like I'd rather actually take it at a lower res, which is why it's interesting that some games like Breath of the Wild, and from reports, we're hearing Xenoblade Chronicles 2 run better in handheld than docked because the resolution is lower, as Caitlin pointed out.
Doesn't Doom though run pretty well on Switch? They obviously lowered resolution to do that, but I thought I'd heard that it actually runs pretty well.
It runs at a solid 30, I think.
Yeah, and it's a weird one because some people were reporting lots of issues with Doom on Switch, other people weren't. Like it was really all over the map. Like you would read one preview or watch one video and everybody says, "Yeah, it's running at 30, it's great." And then other people are like, massive audio problems, control issues, stuttering, and I'm like, I don't know who to believe. And I think that's partly the handheld versus docked mode question. Like not to bring it back to the bane of my existence that is Super Mario Odyssey, but like I'd played most of that game docked, and it looks absolutely gorgeous on my TV. Then I picked it up and started playing handheld, and like New Donk City looks rough in handheld mode.
I'm the opposite. I played almost all of the game in handheld mode. I played a lot of it at work and whatnot, and I thought it looked just fine in handheld.
It's pretty jaggy, at least New Donk City. Maybe that's the standout, but I thought it looked really, really jaggy, and I was kind of shocked, and I like immediately went back to playing it docked mode, and I'm like, oh, okay, it looks great now. Like,
I wonder if that's also just an instance of like you're used to it looking one way, and then when you sort of see
totally
a noticeable dip, you're like, shit.
Yeah, but I mean, it still runs great in both modes. Like you're getting a great 60 frames with very little frame rate drops, but it's it just has me a little nervous. Like my console of choice for Valkyria Chronicles would be Valkyria Chronicles 4 would be the Switch. I just want to make sure, is that Switch version going to run okay? It was also weird they didn't announce a PC version after the huge success that they had with the Steam release of the original Valkyria Chronicles.
Yeah, I feel like that's what helped pave the way for Valkyria Remastered on PS4, and then like all that.
Yeah, but yay that it's coming out. There is in fact a god.
I like the character designs; they look nice.
Yes, they do look really nice. Got that whole snow vibe going on.
As long as happy about that.
As long as there isn't a giant tank that makes me quit the game repeatedly, I'm on board with this game.
Get ready.
Oh my god! I almost picked it up again, and then I was like, "No, Rob, you've tried this like 5 times. Just let it go, Elsa. Just let it go."
Do you need me to teach you how to do that mission and get an flawlessly?
I mean, I'm on board with that. I just like I think playing it on PC would be better because I wouldn't have to wait for the massive load time / saving time that was on the PlayStation 3, that version of the game. So I don't know. I don't like when a game suddenly throws its best mechanics out the door and introduces something entirely new for just like a one-off. I've talked with Derek about this a number of times. Like, I don't like that in gaming. Like, that's the reason why the end of Metal Gear Solid 4 makes me want to like chew my own ears off. Like the whole like, oh, we're going to involve a fist fighting mechanic at the end of this epic stealth game. Like, what? What?
Sometimes you gotta sneak. Sometimes you gotta punch.
I'm all for variety, and I think Super Mario Odyssey does a great job of variety for the most part. But like, yikes! Don't put a rhythm minigame in the middle of Dark Souls. Like, don't do that. Like, why are you doing that? It's almost like having I don't know, like a random Minesweeper minigame in the middle of your class trial that brings the game to a screeching halt and isn't a whole lot of fun, Derek.
Well, I mean, at least you're not having to play Sudoku when you're in an incinerator.
Oh, God. Okay, you tore me up pretty good on that one. But yes, Valkyria Chronicles 4 looks really, really good. Super excited to play it. Apparently coming out very soon, too.
They said it's 90% complete. What the hell?
Next
this is what we want, right?
Yes!
Yeah. Well, I would prefer they show it when it's this far along so we can be like, okay, cool, it's in 6 months. Perfect. I don't have to wait 3 years.
Yeah, it's better that way.
Yeah, they're following Monolith Soft's lead.
Yay, Monolith. And even then, they cleaned it up a lot from original announcement to where it is now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when they first started doing the teaser for something Valkyria related, everybody starts rolling their eyes like, oh my god, is this going to be like a mobile
I can't wait for
something?
Valkyria Gotcha. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was thinking mobile, and I was like, if they do that, then they're dead to me.
So, Valkyria Chronicles 4 looks great. Super excited to play it. Please don't let that Switch version suck. Moving on. So we got an expansion for Horizon, correct, Caitlin?
Yes, the Frozen Wilds.
Tell me about the Frozen Wilds.
Well, first, let me just say, I think the timing was perfect because going up north to the place is called The Cut because it's literally supposed to be like this frozen wilderness that's cut out of or out on the edge of Banuk territory. But really good timing having that come out, in November when the weather is getting colder, and now we're getting into snow territory. So I was feeling the wintry spirit throughout the DLC.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very good. It continues the excellent tradition that we expect from the original game, with having freaking gorgeous environments that you waste like inordinate amount of time, just sitting around watching, using the photo mode to take pictures. I seriously probably spent like over an hour throughout the whole thing, just sort of gawking at the environments. You got more, of course, Aloy, who is still an excellent female protagonist. I love her to death. You've got a lot more, finally, sort of background on the Banuk people, they're one of the tribes that exists in the game, but in the main game, they get very little development. You don't learn a whole lot about their culture compared to the other tribes. So this is really good to have this expansion to flesh the Banuk out a little bit.
Okay.
And while the plot, I actually found the side characters from the side quests to be a little bit more interesting and fun than the new characters they introduced for the main story. But they're still good and they're still fine, and I was still interested in their stories. The main story doesn't really involve Aloy that much. It's kind of missing that sort of personal quest that she has in the main game, and that's a bit of a downer. I was hoping to have a bit more of a personal motivation for her.
So it's just sort of her doing stuff in that area.
Yeah, so you learn about these rumors about what's going on in the Cut. There's a couple of different people you can talk to in the main game in various different locations, and they'll tell you that there's this place up north where there's this weird curse, and there are new dangerous machines that are prowling, and of course Aloy, being the monster, the machine slayer that she is, she wants to go out and investigate. And there is a twist towards the end that I won't spoil that does relate back to the main plot in the game. And it is an interesting plot point that I think helps explain a few plot holes, or rather unresolved plot elements from the main story regarding some of the more sci-fi elements of the game that I was grateful to have. Although I won't deny, what I really would have liked was to actually have this take place after the main story and deal with the cliffhanger sort of at the end of the main story. But I guess, we're clearly going to get another game in the series. I don't think there's any way that Guerrilla Games is not already at work on a sequel, considering how well received Horizon has been as a new IP even. So they're probably saving that whole thing for Horizon 2. But I mean, it's a nice meaty expansion. It took me about 20 hours to finish. And that was doing everything. That was doing the main story. There's a bunch of side quests. There's collectibles, of course, to pick up, things like that. So, it's not like you're only going to get a few hours out of this. You get your money's worth, because I think it's retailing for $15.
Yeah. And then if you get the new complete edition that's about to come out, it's $50 for the game with the expansion. So as of right now, as we're recording, there's like the Black Friday weekend specials going on. So it's cheaper to buy the original game for $20 and the expansion for $15. But yeah, they're going to be releasing that.
Yeah. So yeah, and it's great. And I mean, like, it's a nice, sizable environment. It's not a separate. It's basically added on to the original map, so you can go up there, and it's seamlessly integrated into the world. So it's not like one of those things where you actually have to load into a different area and it's isolated from the rest of the world. It's a big. I mean, for what it is, it's a nice chunk of the map. I mean, it's not anywhere near the size of the whole map, but for the content, it doesn't feel like it's too small. It feels pretty expansive. There's a lot of snow, of course, because it's up in the north, so there isn't going to be as much variety in terms of the color palette, which, depending on, what you're doing with this. If you're playing it as part of the main game, it's not really going to wear on you. But if you're just coming back to the game for the expansion, you're just going to be like, oh, look, more snow. But having said that, the snow effects are good. Oh my God, are they good? The falling snow is fluffy and thick, and it's a joy to see. The snow that's fallen and accumulated on the ground deforms when you walk through it in a fairly, believable way. You can see Aloy trudges through the snow, and you see the snow kind of falling and being trampled in uneven spots as she moves. So they did a really good job with the snow here. Of course they had to, because there's so much of it. And I mean, it's...
Well, yeah, what I was going to ask you is, like, mechanically, right? So they introduced some new skills and stuff. So how do those play into your existing skill set? And do they only function in the new area, or?
So yes, they introduced a new skill tree to add to your existing 3 skill trees. You can use these throughout the game, so you don't have to, you're not locked into. It's not a what is it? Deus Ex, the DLC for Mankind Divided, where you had to rebuy all of your skills, and it was just locked to that one DLC. You get access to this tree, pretty much from the start. You could start, buying skills from it even before you go to the cut, and you can use them throughout the game. The skills themselves, I honestly don't think are all that useful. At least, there's nothing super exciting about them. There's some quality of life skills, like one that increases your inventory space for the random crap you pick up, which that's definitely appreciated, because that your inventory kind of gets filled up pretty quickly. There's another skill that lets you break down items in your inventory for metal shards. You get fewer of them than if you were to sell things to a vendor, but if you're out in the middle of nowhere in a pinch, you can do that. And then a lot of them have to do with mounts and making mounts a little bit easier to work with. So for instance, there's a skill that lets you harvest things and pick up things without having to get off your mount, which that's a nice touch, because honestly, I didn't really use mounts a whole lot in the main game, partly because if I wanted to pick things up, I'd have to get off. Unfortunately, your mount stops cold when you do this, when you're picking things up. You run up to the thing and you can pick it up, but then your mount stops moving, and so it still feels a little like it doesn't quite work. I still ended up running around a lot on foot in the Frozen Wild.
Oh, that's too bad. Yeah. Then that sort of gets rid of the entire point of having that as an upgrade. I mean, it's like a small convenience, but if you have to stop every time you pick something up, oh well.
So, it's a shame. There's not. I mean, the coolest thing is a skill that lets you launch an attack from your mount. So you could be riding up to an enemy and Aloy will just like throw herself from the mount on top of the enemy so that,
Ooh, cool.
Yeah. But I mean, like, it's not super amazing. But I mean, like, there's nothing in the expansion that makes you think that you need any of these skills. It's all largely focused on the existing skills and the basic, gameplay that you've by this point already mastered. And you will, even if you're starting the game from scratch, you cannot start, or rather you should not be starting the cut until you're at least in the 30s. You won't actually get access to the cut until you can access the entire world map in the game. And the enemies are tough and missions steadily increasing their level requirements. So you will have your skills firmly, under your belt by the time you get there. And you are going to need them because the new machines, they are tough. They did a good job of, if you're the kind of person that likes to just sort of keep your distance from enemies and snipe them from afar, they don't let you do that. They close the distance very, very quickly, and they are very aggressive and in your face. So you have to be a lot more, on your feet. You have to be able to move and quickly and just flit from place to place. And it's a pretty challenging experience. Some of the missions pitch you up against multiple new machines at once, and that was pretty harrowing, but also pretty freaking awesome. So there's a lot to love. And I think I mentioned this in the review, but one of the things I really appreciated was they introduce existing mechanics. Like there's a bandit camp that you have to take over. There's like I mentioned, there are collectibles that in the main game you would like pick up these trinkets and you could take it to a trader and they would exchange it for special boxes that you could get lots of goodies from. But they've done enough, I feel, to like add or change up the whole thing so that it doesn't feel like it's just, oh, here's bandit camp number 10 out of 11 or whatever, there's a little added things like I mentioned in the review, the tall neck in the region. It's actually busted when you get there. You have to fix it before you can scale it and reveal the map. So you actually have to go hunting for the parts that you need to fix it first. And that helps to make it feel less like just another tall neck and more like this sort of unique quest experience.
Yeah, some welcome variety so that you don't feel like, oh, I'm in a new area with a different like environmental texture, but I'm still completing the same tasks.
Yeah.
Does it still feel balanced properly? I know it takes place kind of in the middle of the story. If you were toward the end of the game, is it still challenging content if you go back to it?
Yes.
Okay.
So I loaded up my pre-endgame save, the save right before finishing the game. And I was at level 48, I think. And at the time, level cap was 50. The level cap has been expanded to 60 with this expansion. So you do have some room.
Oh, I didn't know that. Why did I not know that? Okay.
Yeah, it's nice. And you level up. I got up to like almost 60 by the time I finished the expansion. And yes, it was challenging even for me at level 48 to deal with some of these enemies and some of the missions. So I'd imagine it would be even more challenging to do if you try to do it right when you get access to it at level 30 or around level 30.
Yeah, I appreciate the level cap increase because if that's a concern that people have, like Rob just brought up, there's going to be enemies at a higher level than previously existed, probably enabling you to level up. So it's like there's no way that you can be over leveled and steamroll it, right?
I don't see how. I mean, like I said, I was level 48. I had pretty much all of my weapons unlocked. I had even the super armor that you have to do this like game long quest, and you don't basically get it until right before the end of the game. The armor that gives you a shield that regenerates over time.
Oh, okay.
And even then, I was having to scramble to deal with these enemies. there are new machines, but there are also old machines in this new area. But they've tweaked them. They are called demonic demonic variants of all the different machines, and that basically means that they are stronger. They don't have as many weaknesses to elements, so you can't necessarily just abuse your elemental weapon types to disable them and things like that. So even the non-new, quote unquote, non-new enemy types in this expansion are harder to deal with as a result. So yeah, I would definitely say it's challenging even if you are at max, even if you've done everything else in the game like I have. It's still going to be a challenging experience, and that's good. I think.
Yeah. Sounds good. I still haven't even beaten the what is it called? The Trials of the Sword in Breath of the Wild, the first expansion pack for that. So like, I should probably beat that before I move on to another open world explore everything type game. I'll do that, and then I'll pick up Horizon. I'm really excited about it. It's only $20. I really should buy it.
Since I just bought Nier, I got to do that, and I got to do Xenoblade. But Horizon is at the top of my pile of shame. I really do want to play that game. I think it's awesome that Guerrilla was able to bring this game out. Remember when they first announced it, we were all like, "Really? The Killzone guys?" And this seems to have given them like a creative spark. And in a lot of ways, I know this is going to sound like a tangent, but let me finish up the thought. When I saw the first like art for Destiny, that game ended up not really encompassing everything that I thought that art design was going to do, because it's a corridor shooter, and that kind of bummed me out a little bit. But like the Horizon Zero Dawn art, like they did create that world, and that's really impressive. And it feels like a place, whereas when I play Destiny, I feel like I am just rolling through corridor after corridor of shooting people, which again it can be really, really fun, but like that art design is just begging for something different with that world, and that was kind of a bummer. Whereas I think Horizon is, giant metal cybernetic brontosaurus, like that's pretty goddamn cool. Like I'm digging that a little bit. That seems sweet. And I can't wait. And it seems to have been very, very, very successful for them as a company. They were talking about how the sales were way higher than they were expecting, and that's really, really good for those guys, because I swear to God, if they made one more Killzone game, I was like, oh boy, okay, you guys just keep making their Killzone there, and that whole game just be all coming out.
They had a shtick, okay?
They did have a shtick, and I remember when Killzone was first shown as Kin, and it was going to be the Halo killer. And it seemed to take like about a decade and a half for them to shake that off. So
whenever somebody says the whatever killer, I mean, that's one of those phrases that really harkens back to like GamePro and Video Game Magazine days. Every month we had to really latch on to these new titles. It's like, this is the new thing. I always think of Dark Cloud being advertised as the Zelda killer.
Yes. Well, I mean, we don't have anything like that in today's gaming culture. Speaking of that, let's talk about the Dark Souls of Nintendo Switch games.
Dark Souls?
Wait, what?
Skyrim?
I just want everybody to know that Skyrim on Switch is Skyrim on Switch. I think
amazing.
But
that's still impressive though.
It is kind of amazing. Like, granted, I think it kind of needs to be played in handheld mode to really get an appreciation for like the technical marvel that it is. Like, I was playing it docked, and I was like, okay, well, it's Skyrim on my big TV, and it doesn't look as good as when I played it on PC back in 2011. But okay, this is kind of cool. And then I took it out of the docking station, and I was able to go to Target and play Skyrim while drinking a coffee. And
why are you playing at Target?
Because Jackie lives at Target, and so like she planted me at the Starbucks so I could drink a coffee while she went shopping. And it was just kind of like, wow, I'm like going to Windheim in the middle of Target, and that's kind of neat. Like it's really impressive, and I think Skyrim is actually a better bite-sized experience to maybe be played on the Switch. Part of me thinks the pricing is a little ludicrous, like $60 for this 6-year-old game on Switch seems. Come on, guys, you could have at least brought it down to like $40, like maybe like to make it a little bit more palatable, but it's really impressive. And I think it's the right way to play, especially with the Radiant quests, those repeating quests of like, oh no, someone took my baguettes. Can you please go get my baguettes? Like,
God, I hate it when somebody takes my baguettes.
I know, it's really freaking obnoxious, but it works in a handheld system. Like, that actually kind of works. Like, oh, I get a little bit of my Skyrim right now, and then I can, like, turn it off and go back to whatever the hell else I was doing. Between that and Doom and Wolfenstein, it seems like Bethesda's is putting their big toe in the Switch pool, and that's a good sign. It just goes back to what we were talking about with Valkyria Chronicles. Just make sure that you're not really making compromised experiences. It's a powerful little machine. Like, Xenoblade looks great on all those videos on it. Like, it is a powerful little device. Let's make sure that we're using it appropriately. But Skyrim on Switch is it's Skyrim on Switch. Does anybody else need to know anything else about it?
I have no more questions, Your Honor.
I'm excited to play it. I will probably do what I always do with Skyrim, which is put like 20 or so hours into it and then stop. And then in like a year or two, I will end up doing it again. But I'm enjoying playing it on a handheld, and that's mildly nuts to think about. It's cool. It's more Skyrim.
Slightly tempting, but again, I can count the number of hours that I've played Skyrim on one hand. And if I want to play it, I feel like I want to play it with cool mods on PC because it's first person. It's something about first person games I like playing with a mouse and keyboard. So
it kind of depends for me, mouse and keyboard. Like I played
Metroid Prime.
Yes, well, I played a little bit of Doom with controller. I know, heresy, but I played a little Doom with controller on PC. The controller, the handheld. Let me try that one again. The gamepad. One more time, baby. The gamepad controls actually work really well. Some of the finger movements for my left hand on PC are kind of awkward, and I know you can remap them, but like my fingers maybe aren't as dexterous as other people's. But like being able to really quickly switch over to chainsaw was really, really nice on gamepad. So it feels more like a gamepad game, whereas like Wolfenstein requires you to kill those Nazis really, really fast, and that means headshots, and I'm like all about mouse and keyboard when it's headshot time.
You know what shooter I played on console and actually enjoyed the experience of was Titanfall 2.
Really?
Yeah, for some reason that one really worked for me on console, mostly because the sliding on walls felt really good.
Yeah,
with the controller. Yeah.
If it's a slower paced game or some kind of stealth title, like I'll play Dishonored with a gamepad on PC just because I want that analog movement. I want to be able to like kind of poke my head out a little bit and kind of creep up on people. And the mouse and keyboard doesn't really allow that. But if I need precision, I will like instantly switch over to mouse and keyboard. But I think Skyrim on Switch again is very, very impressive. It is great. I would wait for it to maybe come down in price a little bit, because I think $60 is asking a lot for an old game. If that thing comes down to like $30, that's like everybody who owns a Switch should probably have it just to have something to tool around in.
I get it for $20, probably.
20's fair. I think 20's extremely fair.
I'm not such a big fan. You were saying, Nathan?
No, so 20's pretty good too.
Yeah, I have a friend who is really big Skyrim fan. Like he's put hundreds of hours into the game over the course of its various iterations, but he's pretty exclusive PS4 kind of guy, and he recently got Skyrim VR, and apparently he says it's actually pretty fun. He says it's kind of like wonky and hard to get used to at first because he was really resistant to the idea of playing with the Move controllers, but once he got into that, he said like it's the kind of game you play and you don't feel like you're in VR at first, but then it really kind of creeps up on you and you reach a moment where you're like, whoa, I've been in this for a while and I'm in another world. So he gave it his, like, I wouldn't say tepid recommendation, but he said it was a worth it if you're really invested in Skyrim. But yeah, I'd be curious to try it. I should go over to his house and give it a go. What if my first Skyrim experience was Skyrim VR?
And you're just like shooting lightning bolts at people. I mean, it does feel pretty cool when you're shooting the Emperor's lightning at people. Like that's kind of fun. I don't really get tired of that. Yeah. I don't think we'll probably see Fallout 4 on Switch. That game already ran pretty rocky. I don't want to see Fallout
4 anywhere.
Yeah, that's kind of the other issue.
I don't want to hear you talk about Fallout 4 again, Rob. I want us to remember the good times.
I just don't. That game ran pretty rough on consoles, and it was an upgraded version of their Skyrim engine. I don't know if we're going to get that on Switch. I wouldn't
I wouldn't count on it.
Yeah, I wouldn't count on that. But I did play like 5 minutes of that on PC the other night, and that PC version's really good. Wish there was more to like in that game, but like that art design's great. Fallout 4 looks phenomenal on PC, and I thought about loading it up with mods, and then I started going down the dark road of looking at Bethesda's mod community, and I was like, nope. No, I think the only game that I genuinely enjoyed modding up quite a bit was XCOM 2. Just the way that they integrated that with Steam Workshop, and like the best mods were really easy to find and very easy to figure out what they were doing, and they plugged right into the game like from the launcher, so that I don't know, something about that made it feel really good. Yeah, and it just and it's easy to turn off and screw around with, like if I wasn't really digging that. And that also got us to the topic that we were talking about with XCOM 2 at the end of the summer, which was some of those mods were like quality of life improvements that made me like the game. And I'm like, maybe that's a little bit of lazy game development, but there was something that game really needed some mods.
The community shouldn't have to step in and do it, but you're glad that they did because it made the game better.
Yeah, no, totally. And they did some of that for War of the Chosen, which, man, I'm about ready to fire up another XCOM 2 campaign. That game is like secretly one of my best experiences of this year, and it totally snuck up on me. Like, I had no idea that game was going to take over my summer the way it did. Anywho, speaking of re-releases, DLC, and things that probably could have been expansions, the Pokemans Ultras. The Pokemans Ultras, a giant ball of fire and spherical rock asteroid thingy.
Good job. You got there.
Yeah, I got there.
Yeah, Pokemon Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon came out. It's the third version of Sun and Moon, a la, Platinum, Crystal, all the other third versions that have come out up to this point. It's more like a Black 2, White 2 situation where it's...
Okay, stop.
What?
Stop. I have one question. I finally have two Pokemans experts in the Derek's and the Nathans to answer this question that somebody who has not played a Pokemon since Red or Blue can ask. All right, you guys ready?
Probably asked me this last year when it came out and you didn't listen to my answer, but go ahead.
I probably didn't. If you were going to recommend a Pokemon game to me right now,
Sun Moon,
or you would just say go Sun Moon, screw Ultra.
No, sorry, you can go to Ultra.
If I go to Ultra, but that's not one of my favorite Pokemon games from the last few years.
Okay, but if I was going to play one of these games, if I was going to play Moon or Sun, would you tell me to just go directly to Ultra and just bypass Sun and Moon?
Yeah, just do that.
Because, it's confusing because they haven't always stuck to the same kind of iteration in each of these third versions. Like Black 2, White 2 was actually technically a sequel to the story that was set later on chronologically. Whereas Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon takes place, in the same timeline, but you're dealing with, you have the lion and the bat, the two legendaries. So you're dealing with the third one, Necrozma, this time, and there's more story to go with it. Like, they've expanded it for sure, because you have stuff with that.
I heard something like the script was double the length of Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Moon.
Yeah, it's definitely more expansive. That's the word that keeps coming to mind. More voluminous, but it still follows the same trajectory. You still play the characters new to Alola. You still go fight the same equivalent of gym leaders, the trial captains. All that's the same until things. I mean, there's new stuff throughout. There's a new pair of characters called the Ultra Recon Squad, I think, and they're people who research other dimensions, and because towards the end of the game you actually start going into other dimensions and you can actually catch all of the old legendary Pokemon from all the old games, not the mythical but the legendary. So the distinction there is legendary stuff like Zapdos, Articuno, Moltres, Mewtwo, Palkia, Dialga, all the big ones that you see on the covers of the games. And then the mythical are things like Mew, Celebi, Victini, Jirachi, mostly the little ones. So, yeah,
Pokemon.
Right, yeah, like the mascot Pokemon, more like. In this one, you have more story that's happening throughout. So if you're the type of person who usually buys both versions anyway and plays them both, if you bought both Sun and Moon and you played through one with Popplio and the other with Rowlet or whatever, you know what I mean? Played one as a girl, one as a boy, just to get the most out of it and catch all the Pokemon, then I don't know that it would be necessarily worth playing through a third time. But if you played it a year ago and would like sort of a fresh experience, like a reason to revisit it, if you're just kind of jonesing to replay it anyway, this is absolutely the way to go, because they've added in, they've added enough is what I would say. It's like, it's just enough. And I think they're really pushing it by making these separate releases, because some of the things that they've added to it are sort of quality of life things, like the ability to, there's a new mini game called Mantine Surfing, where you just go like surf between the islands. And it's cute, it's fun, but one of the rewards is you get these points that you can turn in to teach your Pokemon certain moves. And like that sort of system should have just been there in the original.
Yeah. To be fair, I feel like always the third releases are always kind of like this. They always add the new quality of life things, change the story a little bit, and then they just release the game again.
Yeah, and it's a shame because, I mean, I'm not saying that I expect them to change. I just think that this is the kind of thing that I would ordinarily expect to see as a DLC type situation for almost any other game, but for some reason Nintendo continues to do the whole third game format for Pokemon. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you got to pay $40. So I think it's an excellent starting point, and you can skip right past original Sun Moon and jump right into this one and get, the most bang for your buck. It's a little bit of a harder sell unless you're really into Pokemon, and I am quite into Pokemon. And I play with my partner, and we both we trade and we enjoy talking team strategy and stuff. So it definitely depends on how invested you get. But as far as new stuff, this one adds just enough. Have you been playing it as well, Nathan?
I'm just about to start. I was a little sour on the game actually before all this news came out that they're adding in the Team Rainbow Rockets and all the new legendaries in. Mm-hmm. But before that, it seemed like they weren't really sure. I wasn't really sure the direction they wanted to go with Ultra Sun and Moon up until that point.
Right. Me too. I thought the same thing. But now we have what Nathan was talking about. Team Rainbow Rocket is, every game has their villainous organization, and Team Rocket was the original with Giovanni and Jesse and James. So in this one now, there's Team Rainbow Rocket, which brings back all of the villains throughout the entire series into one evil villainous team. So it's like an anti-Justice League situation.
That would be the Legion of Doom.
Sure. I don't know anything about DC.
Actually, that was the Legion of Doom that was formed by Lex Luthor.
This is why you're here, because I don't know.
Yeah,
so there's Legion
of Doom. And now I'm remembering Justice League, and I want to actually die right now. Oh, God.
Was it really bad?
Well, I mean, it should tell you something that the next night we went and saw Thor Ragnarok again, just to wash that taste out of our mouth. Because Thor was great, but Justice League it's barely a movie because it's so hacked to the bone, and you can see the Snyder bits, you can see the Whedon bits, and it's what the hell am I even watching? This is a gelatinous mess. Ew. Anywho, but I think what you're telling me is just wait for Pokemon Switch. I feel like that's what I'm being told right now. Is just wait for Pokemon Switch.
You personally, yes, but
okay
for people who because I know your taste. So people who haven't played a Pokemon game in a while, I think Sun Moon brought so many incredible improvements to the formula, and it's still pretty formulaic overall. You're still traveling through a land, collecting Pokemon, and doing 8, badges or badge equivalents. But they've changed up the way you do all of that stuff. And some of the things I never want to go back to using HMs again. Now that you can ride Pokemon to accomplish all of your travel-related and environmental interaction-related stuff. No, never again with HMs. So that's the kind of thing that I think really makes this stand out as a great entry point. It feels like this is a really good one for people who played Red Blue and then nothing else.
Yeah, it seems like a good way to bring people back, and it seemed like everyone responded really well because last year's had Pokemon Go hype, then a lot of people jumped right back into Pokemon after playing Pokemon Go. Jumped back into Sun and Moon, I mean.
Mm-hmm. So I'm liking it so far. Again, $40, maybe not worth that. I got it because I wouldn't say I'm a diehard, but I do like Pokemon a lot. We went and saw the new movie in theaters because they were having a 2-day special screening event with Fathom Events where you could go see Pikachu or Pokemon. I Choose You.
Oh God!
It was just, you were prepared for the end of the movie?
Oh my God! It was so bad. Why would they do that? Did you hear about this, guys? So
especially the moment. Are we going to talk about that?
The moment, yeah. There's the new Pokemon movie is intended to be a nostalgic appeal because it's a a recreation, more or less, of the first episode of the Pokemon animated series ever. But it goes on into something more, where Ash gets his Pikachu, and then they go on a quest to find Ho-Oh. Because if you watch the show, you know that first episode, at the end of the episode, they see Ho-Oh in the distance. He was a legendary Pokemon that wouldn't be introduced until Generation 2. So for the longest time, that was like the schoolyard rumor to beat all rumors. People were like, "Who is that? Is that just like Moltres or what?" Blah, blah, blah. So,
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so there was a lot of mystery surrounding Ho-Oh back in the day, and so they actually really expanded that and leaned into it and said, "Okay, now Ash and Pikachu meet. Now they're going to go on a quest to find Ho-Oh," and they meet other trainers that have Pokemon from future generations and stuff. So it's interesting to see how they worked all that in. But anyway, there's a scene near the end of the movie where Ash dies or something. Sorry if that's a spoiler, but it's a Pokemon movie. Much like the original Pokemon movie where you think that Pikachu died, the same thing happens in this one where like Ash basically gets annihilated, and there's a little dream sequence or whatever where Pikachu was looking at him, and he speaks English.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Does he sound like Danny DeVito? Does he
No, he has like a very high-pitched voice, and he just says, "It's because I always want to be with you." And the entire theater groaned when it happened. Everyone's like, "What? Oh, no!" But if you go online, there have been some pretty funny reaction videos that are like, "Audience, here's Pikachu speak English for the first time," and everybody's like, "What the hell? No!"
That was similar to the two groan moments during Justice League. The first being when Henry Cavill's awful CG face showed up, where they had to take his mustache out, and like he looks like a Sims character. Like it's because they had to do a bunch of reshoots, and so they brought Henry Cavill back, and he is contractually obligated to have a mustache for a movie that he's working on. So they had to CGI out his mustache, and he looks like human Shrek. And it is.
I'm looking this up.
Yeah, you need to see it. It's really, really bad.
So anyway, but just to wrap up my point, it was
okay, then I'll get the other one. Go ahead.
Yeah, the Pokemon, the movie was whatever, but I went because I care enough about Pokemon, and we thought it would be just like a fun nostalgic thing, and they gave you a little like a card with a QR code that you could scan into Ultra Sun Ultra Moon to get Ash's Pikachu with Ash's hat on. So that was like a cute little bonus.
That's
yeah.
cute.
Yeah, but so Ultra Sun Ultra Moon, yes, it's the definitive version of Sun and Moon. It's probably not going to be a required buy for everybody, but generally the type of people who would think about buying the third version are just going to buy the third version regardless. So you don't really need me to tell you yes or no on it. It's Sun Moon with more stuff. It's more complete, more story, more accessible Pokemon. So is it better than the originals? I mean, arguably, yeah, but just depends on how much you want to play it again. So, okay, what were you saying, Rob?
I think you're telling me to just get the Switch version.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
I think that's what you're telling me.
Okay.
Oh God, yeah, I got it. Oh, wait,
that's gonna be exciting times when they show that game for the first time.
Wait 1 second. I'm just gonna post this right here because I want to get Derek's reaction.
Okay, I see that there's an article that says Justice League. Warner Brothers reportedly offered to create CGI mustache if Paramount would let Henry Cavill shave. What the hell am I reading?
No, look at this picture though. That is what he. The left picture is what he looks like in the movie.
Where is it?
It's in the.
It's in the chat. Just take.
Oh, that's what everybody's been posting. I've seen that picture, and I was like, "What am I looking at?"
Yeah, so that was the first grown part of Justice League. The second was when I know spoilers. Superman comes back. When Superman first comes back, he's evil for some reason, and he has a British accent for some reason. And I just leaned over at Jackie, and I was like, "Why is he suddenly British?
What is happening?"
Like what is actually going on? And the movie is so screwed up that when Aquaman shows back up in Atlantis and he begins talking to other characters, he might as well have been speaking Swahili because I was like, I have no idea what they're talking about. I have absolutely like
just like jargon or what?
Yeah, they were just speaking in jargon, like, "Oh yes, you haven't spoken to your mother in forever. I know, I left years ago." Blah 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 blah. And I'm like, this is like if you just turned on a movie in the middle of the day on TNT, and you had you had never even heard of the Lord of the Rings, and you came in on the Two Towers, and you're just like,
why are those big face people fighting each other?
Yeah, why do they have hairy feet? Like, what the hell is actually going on? Like, it just, whew.
Well, that's fun.
That was weird, but Thor Ragnarok was absolutely amazing, and I could stare at Tom Hiddleston and Chris Hemsworth all day long.
Not Tom Hiddleston. Ugh.
Really? You're
what?
No.
His ass is really cute in Crimson Peak. He's got a cute little butt.
I'll be the judge of that.
Okay. All right. I bow down to your ability to objectify.
I'm gonna Google it. Tom Hiddleston as. Go ahead without me. I'm fine.
Okay. So
he's Googling the ass.
He's Googling the ass. I mean, it's very pale, and I'm down for that. So just throwing it. He's got that Geralt Swimmers build going on. So like, I'm A-okay with all this.
These screen caps are blurry, and he needs to wash his hair, so it's going to be a no.
I really liked Loki in Thor Ragnarok. I gotta say,
everything in Thor Ragnarok was just goddamn amazing.
I haven't seen it yet.
The 80s synth soundtrack, Cate Blanchett just being delightfully evil.
She was awesome.
She was great. Like the whole movie was just a goddamn treat. Jeff Goldblum playing Jeff Goldblum was just, oh my god.
You need more Jeff Goldblum.
I just like how they made Thor into a bro, just a big dumb bro, and it totally works. Anywho. So, Rob, wait for Pokemon Switch. Okay, got it. You think they'll do 2 versions of Pokemon Switch? I feel like they kind of have to.
I mean, they like to make money, right? So.
Oh my god, no.
I feel
we'll see, because this is the first time doing a console game in years, so we'll see.
Can you imagine, like, the Breath of the Wild world, but it's Pokemon?
I know.
That'd be amazing.
Being able to solve puzzles with... that's how I'm thinking about this, like... I get a water-type Pokemon, and now I can solve water puzzles. Like, that's how I'm thinking of this. Like...
Try to keep it lower than that.
I probably should, but, like, my brain is, like, racing through, like, everything that you could do with this. Like, seeing a bunch of Pikachus just, like... It's basically what we all thought Pokemon Go was going to be. And it just ended up, like, not doing that, but whatever. But like Pokemon Switch could be something really amazing, as Nintendo is just doubling down on big giant open worlds and putting interesting things to do in them. Like,
so you're saying that Monolith Soft should make it?
I would be A-okay with that, but like,
okay with that.
I think I'd want it to be maybe a little bit more than an RPG. Like, I want Pokemon to me has always been tinkering with the idea of like, maybe you can use the Pokemon to solve puzzles. Like, remember in Red and Blue, like when you got a flying type Pokemon, like that, maybe you could do something with that, but maybe it turns into some other type of game. I don't know, but just my brain races at that idea.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that might be really
being
interesting.
Persistent would be really interesting, just with like Pokemon roaming actively in the wild with other players and stuff. Yeah, that could be cool.
Dun 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 dun. Oh god, it's Pikachu!
Oh, if they have that, they could do away with random encounters. That actually might be good.
They just everything should get rid of random encounters, but that's not
except for random encounter. There are podcast.
No, I'm sorry. You can't take it back, Rob. You just said that we should.
I did.
All right, shut it down.
Shut it down. Shut this damn thing down.
You didn't know when you were listening. This is going to be the final episode of Random Encounter.
No, I'm sad.
Derek, you've been playing the Vita version of Valhalla. Oh, great. Now I'm going to have to look that up for the show notes.
You can just say Valhalla. It's okay.
Yeah. What do you think?
I think I know how to say it. I think it's from memory. Isn't it it's all caps. VA-11 space HALL-A?
Yes, I think.
Okay, because it's like, it's the cyberpunk bartending sim visual novel, and it takes place in the future where the like government has nanomachines that watch everything you do and stuff. But it's like, it's you work at this bar. It's like drinking establishment VA-11 Hall A. So get it? So it's like Valhalla. So play on words, clever. Anyway, Valhalla is it's not new. I forget that it came out like 2 years ago at this point. I want to say it was first teased quite a few, like maybe 2015 or something. But it came out on PC, as far as I know, in 2016, and here we are at the tail end of 2017. So the Vita version just came out, and I wasn't aware that it wasn't out yet. I guess I just sort of assumed it was. So I've been playing the Vita version a bit. It came out, I don't know, 2 weeks ago at this point, as of this recording. And so I've been kind of digging into it a little bit before bed every night, but I haven't made a ton of progress. I think I'm in the third day or so of working. So the basic flow of the game is such that, like I said, it's pretty much a visual novel. So you play as this bartender girl who works at Valhalla, and customers come in and they start to sort of unload their problems on you, and they'll ask you for drinks while they're there. And you have a little sort of drink mixing interface where you mix the different types of liquors in certain quantities, and you can choose if it's on ice, or you can choose if it's aged, and like how long you shake it and stuff. And depending on what you, if you make them what they want, they'll be happy, and they'll probably open up to you more and tell you more about themselves. But conversely, there are opportunities where you can choose, like, there's one of the particular ingredients is like the thing that makes it alcoholic. So some characters will say things like, I don't know if I really want to drink tonight, but I don't know, just hit me with whatever. So it's like, oh, okay, you as the bartender get to decide if they're going to get drunk, or like, is it good for them to get drunk or not? And I imagine, I could be totally wrong about this because I didn't play the original on PC and I haven't gotten that far. I assume what you do changes the outcome of the story, like whether or not certain characters come back on separate nights, or whether they do stupid stuff because they got too drunk, or they get mad because you don't get them drunk. So the two things about it that you really notice right away, well, three, I guess. Number one, music is phenomenal so far. Like very sort of jazzy, synthy, electronic, like Blade Runner style music. And then it's got an art style that's very evocative of Sega CD adventure games like Snatcher and Policenauts, which I'm very into. And then third is the writing. The writing is really sharp so far, and they do not shy away from stuff like it's very clearly written by I don't know if they're American or Canadian, but like Westerners. So there's a lot of very frank conversation about like work and sexuality and stuff. And I don't know, I'm really digging it so far. I just haven't put too much time into it because I've been really distracted by Pokemon, and I recently finished Zwei and submitted my review for that. And then now I've got another game on my plate. So it has been on the top of my priority list. But so far, I'm really into it. And if you've ever seen screenshots of stuff like... Because I know Snatcher and Policenauts are not very accessible games because they're both on obscure sort of platforms that are hard to get a hold of. But this looks like those. So it's got like that really cool... I don't really know how to describe it other than like a cyberpunk edge to it. Very colorful. And bright. So if you like stuff like Blade Runner and you like visual novels and you like anime type stuff, then you'll probably like this. It's cool.
Was I the only one that saw Blade Runner 2049?
Oh my god, I loved it. I saw it.
It was phenomenal.
It was phenomenal.
It was better than the original. Like,
by far.
Yeah, like the original is like a brilliant aesthetic movie with not much of a story, and this was like, holy crap.
Oh my god, yeah. I can't get over how much I like it.
Yeah, but you saw my comparison, right? For what I said Blade Runner 2049 was?
No.
It's Chrono Cross. It recontextualizes the original and actually goes in and makes it better.
Oh, yeah, okay. I was going to say.
But, like, I mean...
It kills Luca? Like...
Well, no. It doesn't kill Luca. It doesn't have a Panther dad. But like, just go with me on this. Okay. Yeah, I'm mad at the world for not going to see that movie.
Me too. Oh my god, I thought it was so good.
Oh my, like 3 hours I was just like watching intensely the entire time, and I'm not even a big Blade Runner fan. And I was
I just don't get out to the movies all that often. And that was one where they have I don't know how common they are. Maybe it's just like a Southwestern thing, but Roadhouse Cinema. Do you guys have that there?
Oh yeah, it's like the movie taverns that we have up here in the great Northeast, up by the wall.
Yeah, and we have one that was built less than 10 minutes from our house, so we just sort of forget that we can go to, and they have a discount Tuesday night, so we went when it was already there. And we just kicked back with some dinner and a drink and watched that movie, and I was glued to that. And I have a pretty good attention span. Like I can focus on stuff pretty well, but there's something about going to theaters. I usually tend to get pretty antsy towards the end of it, just because I feel like I need to get up and stretch my legs, or I don't know. And I inevitably start thinking about, I wonder how much longer is left in the movie, which I hate because I want to be focused on the movie. Never thought that once on Blade Runner. I was just totally glued to it. So
it's a really good movie. It's really.
Anyway.
Did you see the director's first movie, Arrival?
No, I didn't.
You need to go watch that.
Yeah, it's good.
It's Contact done right. It's like
Okay.
holy, whew, that movie gives me the feels at the end. Of it.
Fighting words.
What am I thinking of? No, I didn't see Arrival. I'm thinking of the other one. The one where they go into space and they go into that one water planet, and it takes them like 10 years. Interstellar, yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
That's got a fantastic Hans Zimmer soundtrack, but some of the story beats don't land pretty well. It's very when you realize that movie was supposed to be Steven Spielberg, but we got Chris Nolan, it makes sense because it's like, oh, all the technical stuff's better, but the emotional stuff lands like a giant thud. Christopher Nolan's actually a robot and doesn't understand human emotion.
Wow.
Like, oh,
Every time I watch Interstellar, which I do like, I have to watch The Martian afterwards to cleanse my palate of Matt Damon being a bad guy. Yeah.
Yeah. I just looked up.
I need to watch good Matt Damon astronaut movie afterwards. You know?
Oh, just go watch Dogma.
No.
He's a bad guy in that too, though. So.
No,
I was just gonna say, Arrival is
space movies. What I said.
Oh, okay, sorry. Arrival really is just Contact Rob. I just looked up the synopsis.
Yeah, no, it totally is.
It's just Jodie Foster again, basically. Like
I very much adore that movie. It's
Contact.
I like Contact. I like it, but that the end reveal is like a little saccharine and not very sciencey. Whereas Arrival is extremely sciencey at the end, and I studied that stuff in grad school, and I don't like thinking about it. It scares the hell out of me. It's like the whole scary. It's like, oh, the particle knows that it's about ready to be measured, so it misbehaves. I'm like, oh, no. I don't want to talk about that stuff. Like, no. That's the
Anyway,
just makes me want to know what the hell's going on with Cyberpunk whenever I see Blade Runner.
I'm gonna put that out of my mind for the next 2 years.
I'd probably put it out of your mind longer, maybe. I was texting Steven, and we were just yelling at each other back and forth because that's what we do. And he was like, I guarantee Kingdom Hearts 3 is going to be out next year. And I was like, oh, do I make that bet now or later? Like I lost that bet on Xenoblade, but am I going to do it again now? Like, I don't know. All I care about is Dragon Quest. And when the hell we get that?
I know. And I would love well, Caitlin knows. We both want a Sen no Kiseki 3 announcement. Please?
Yes.
Are you guys just talking about Trails of Cold Steel when you do that?
Yes.
Okay.
The Japanese.
Sorry. Trails of Cold Steel 3. Same thing.
Yes. Please dumb it down for William in the room, okay? Can you just
William.
William. I thought about picking up Neo on PC, and then I was like, no. I had my fill of Neo, and I want them to make a sequel and make it coherent and move on from there.
I'm done with it, but I want more. What?
No, it ended up holding my attention longer than it wanted to, but when it turns into Diablo, I think that game kind of loses it, like, completely. Like, I don't need...
Diablo.
It totally turns into a Luke hack game toward the end. Like it's actually a freaking gotcha game where like you're feeding like equipment to other equipment to make your equipment stronger. Otherwise, you won't get further in the game. Like it gets really weird after you beat it the first time. It turns into a weird thing that I don't think actually works. Like, but the combat's fun. It ended up being my favorite Team Ninja game, and that's just to tell you something. Derek, give me the best way to play Nier.
Nier Automata?
How should I do this?
What do you mean, how should you do it?
Well, I've been told...
Wait until it's over.
No, I've been told that when I play Nier, what I should do is play through story A, play through story B, and then turn the game to easy and just plow through the rest of it.
Oh, yeah, I would do that.
Okay.
I was just going to say, because you have to get through story C. My word of advice to you would be story B drags.
Okay.
And I'm not going to defend it because I really do think that it's too repetitive. It's too much of the same thing. You're seeing it from another angle, but you're still seeing a lot of the same cutscenes. So Story B will drag, and I promise you, it does get better after that.
Okay.
And it is totally different. Story C. It's
okay.
You're because you don't be fooled into thinking like, ugh, I don't want to do this 3 times. Just enjoy it for what it is. Yeah, I think it's a shame that they kind of, I don't know. I was hearing that Yoko Taro intentionally did that because he was like, well, I don't necessarily want people to be comfortable. and I don't know that like making an unfun game mechanic counts as any kind of like stirring intellectual insight or profound like piece of design, but it sure did make me like ugh. But it's very cathartic when you get to see. So,
do people say turn it down to easy because the game gets hard, or just because the game becomes tedious?
It just becomes tedious.
Okay.
Yeah, tedious for sure.
Okay, I can dig that. That kind of gets to the conversation we've had for years on this show of like the game should just end when it needs to end. Yeah. Like just don't make me keep playing over and over and like doing more and more stuff. Like another game that will be coming out, another Platinum joint Clover game is Okami's coming out again, and once again I will play that game up till the Snow Kingdom and then stop again because that's what I've done like 4 goddamn times with that game. Like, so I keep going. This game should just be done at like 20 hours. Like, just stop.
I really agree. I think it's phenomenal, but man, do I get annoyed by how long.
Really? I feel like the only person who doesn't mind that.
Yeah, I mean, it's an amazing game, but like,
you have to get only boss rush so many times.
Like, yeah. I've seen talking about the original Xenoblade. We've got some people that are replaying it, and I know like Scott's.
Scott, yeah.
Scott's replaying it, but I've seen people who are like, "When does this game ever end?" Like, and they think that the end of the game is when you go into Mechonis, and it's like, "Nope, sorry." And I'm like,
"Oh no."
I thought that was actually a cool fake out.
I think the only thing about the original Xenoblade that got me was that toward the end of that game, the difficulty spike got pretty intense. Like the last couple bosses were like, holy god!
I know the one you're talking about. Yeah,
the one with all the death lava around.
Yeah.
And like, I took a year break off that game, and then came back
so close to the end.
I know, but I had to level for like 5 hours to beat that boss because I was not doing any damage to it. And then I was able to beat it, and then I had like another 3 hours of leveling to do in like the prison castle thingy, and then I finally beat the game. But like at that point I was just like, I'm really just grinding and I'm not digging this. Like I didn't feel that way at all in that game. I felt like the natural exploration was keeping me like my head above water in terms of difficulty the whole way through, and then that game just became a cliff of just like, you need to be like level 70, asshole. And I was like, okay. Like,
someone wasn't doing side quests.
I was like, why are you getting so mean, Xenoblade? Like, Jesus.
Yeah, it does get pretty mean. You're right.
That game got mean. Mean.
Yep. But I think that I was, I'm such a huge Xenoblade fan. I enjoyed it the whole way through. I did not feel like that one went on too long. I just think the problem with Okami is that it reaches a point where it sort of wraps everything up, or at least it feels like it does, but then they sort of create new stuff to have you approach and deal with. And they do it twice. Like, doing it once would have been awesome, and I would have been cool with that. And I like fake out endings, when they're done well. But for me, Okami was just like, why does this happen twice? After the second, basically credit roll, I was like, oh, okay, cool. That was good. That was long, but it was good. And then it kept going. I was like, are you kidding me?
It feels like Okami's like 2 seasons of an anime when it only needed to be 1.
Like 3 seasons, dude.
Okay, like 3. Like, yeah. That's fair. That's fair.
Nah, you can never have too much Okami. Sorry.
Well, I look forward to hearing about the HD version when you talk about it on the show.
Oh, are we allowed to talk about it? Is it officially a Zelda game now? Are we allowed?
I mean, we just talked about Justice League.
Yeah. The only problem is it comes out right after Xenoblade, so like I want to get it day one, but like I know that even if I do, I'm not going to be playing it because Xenoblade. So I don't know that I'm going to get to it until next year.
Yeah, well, you can always get it.
And the same thing with like the Weird Autumn edition of Night in the Woods, which I mean that's a free update. It's not like I have to get it, but like I don't know when I'm going to get around to playing it because Xenoblade. Damn you, Xenoblade!
Xenoblade's been taking so much time.
But there is no Monado unless they fake us out.
I think Pyra is the Monado.
No, she's not Monado. Unless the plot.
She got a freaking Zohar in her chest. I know what that is.
I know, right? Me too.
She's got the Zohar in her chest. Freaking what's her face is going to show up from Xenosaga, and I'm going to get really like, Oh God.
Cosmo.
Well, they both have the weird miniskirt Band-Aid thing going on. They both have that design aesthetic.
Mm-hmm. I actually don't hate Pyro's design.
She's a little anime boob monster for me, but like,
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I wish her
it's-
boobs were a bit smaller.
Yeah, physics don't really work, but I mean, it's all right, I guess.
yeah, I mean that's a hell of a corset she's wearing. I mean that's impressive. But I gotta say that the Nintendo Directs have made that game look a lot better. I'm like, okay, I've got a feel for what this game is now, because the first time they showed it, I was like, I don't even know what I'm watching. Like,
Yeah, you're like, what is this?
what
I know, they always seem like to make the game look bad. The last one was good.
Derek, can you do me a favor?
What?
In like a month or two, when Final Fantasy 15 comes out on PC, can you tell me to just not buy it?
Why would you consider buying it?
Because part of me really wants to play that game at 60 FPS. Like,
Yeah.
did they ever fix the way that the menus work in that game and how awful it is just to fast travel? Did they ever fix that?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't think.
Oh, you mean like with you having to
Different buttons do different things on different screen. Okay,
No.
good. Okay, then I shouldn't play it again. Okay.
Also, frames is not going to fix the story. Or
I just want to be able to tell what the hell's going on in that game, because a lot of times I was like, man, I got a 50-inch screen in my living room and I don't have any idea what the hell's going on and I can't see shit.
frames aren't going to do that. All the frames, it could be going at 120 FPS and you still wouldn't be able to tell what the living F is going on there.
Yeah, I so deeply don't care about them continuing to expand this game, which I know we talked about it a bunch, and I appreciate that they want to make things right. I'm a broken record at this point, but I'm so done.
Just make things right by making the next game and not repeating
And
the
make it
same
good.
mistakes. Like, just do that, okay? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about Valkyria Chronicles. What if Sega had gone back and said, well, we're going to fix Valkyria Revolution? Would anyone give a flying freak about that?
There's
Probably
one
not.
person in, like, Wisconsin that's putting their hand up right now, just like,
Yeah. You put that hand right back down, dude. Sorry. No one would care because the initial, outing was just so horrid. But if Valkyria Chronicles 4 is as good as we all hope it will be, they will be partially or mostly forgiven, I think, in a lot of fans' eyes. So, do the same thing here. I feel like, I have a huge chip on my shoulder about 15, but on one hand, it's like from a resource standpoint, I would rather that they just turn around and spend the development time and the money making 16 as good of a game as it can be. And let's just hope that it's better than 15.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
I can hope so.
I just don't know. Seeing Dragon Quest XI and how beautiful that game is, and its open world, and running around and getting into random encounters, I'm like, if you told me Final Fantasy 16 was going to be that, I'd be a-okay with that. Like, you could have all the leather and topless dudes that you got, and I would be like aesthetically, I'd have zero problem with it. But I never dug that combat in 15. I never got into it. I never got a firm hold on it. I never really knew what was happening. And if you just told me we're going to make traditional random encounters, I'd be like, okay.
Yeah, I think it's funny because I thought that for all its purported hands-offness or whatever you want to call it, I can't think of words right now. 13, I feel like you had more control over 13 a lot of the time than 15.
I'll definitely agree to that.
Yeah,
I will,
because you're at
definitely
least directing
agree
your
to that.
paradigms and having your characters do specific things rather than kind of like holding down your attack button, and sometimes it connects and sometimes you get caught in an object or the monster moves unpredictably or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, I think 15 in a lot of ways feels a little bit more loose than 13 does.
I think there's a couple different ways you could go down it. Like Final Fantasy 12 and Xenoblade have showed us that like that MMO style tactical combat where you're kind of leading a party and doing like the big picture stuff can work really, really well. So like I'm on board with that. And Dragon Quest XI and Shin Megami Tensei 4 have shown us that like you can make a turn-based game that is really, really snappy and really, really fun and interactive and tough and looks beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Final Fantasy 15 is like in this weird, like, I'm kind of just directing-ish the action, and it's an action game, but not. And I just don't know what they're trying to do. Like, it doesn't fall into either of those categories. It's its own thing that I just never felt good playing.
Yeah.
And so, what's the problem here? I think if it's sort of like Nintendo listened to everybody and they made a big, giant Super Mario game with tons and tons of crap to find. And everybody seems to be A-okay with that. I'm A-okay with that. Like, what's wrong with just giving people what they want?
Well, I mean, with Final Fantasy, they definitely want to push the envelope and do something new. So, I mean, yeah, it's tough because they have a history of innovation and wanting to always sort of break their existing system in some way. So I don't want to play the same thing again, but there are certain, I don't know, it's really tough to say. There are certain aspects, I think, of the existing systems that are like tried and tested that they can continue to work with. So I just don't like some modern games. I hate jank. I hate it. I hate it so much.
Jank sucks.
I want my games to be like clean and easy to understand, and I want my actions to have sort of like the intended result every time. And by that I don't mean I want to win 100% of the time, but like if I press A, I want the action that results from pressing A to happen every time, no matter what, with the same.
Not the whole X thing in Final Fantasy 15 where it's like you're supposed to press X and it never registers the first time.
Well, I mean that too, but I just mean like if A is swing my sword, I want A to swing my sword in such a way that like if it bounces off of an environmental object, that's fine because it's part of the mechanic, or like, if I'm not in range of hitting the enemy, that's fine. And maybe I'm oversimplifying this issue too much, but like it's a thing like in 15, if you hold down the attack button, like I said, he starts swinging, but maybe you're not close enough. Maybe there's something janky happening in terms of like the physics of the monster. You know what I mean? Like I hate that stuff so much.
So Derek, I think I hear you on this. So you want to play a game where the animations
Bloodborne,
are
no!
easy.
Oh my god.
I love
we
it.
have you know about how I have the platinum for Bloodborne because my roommate played it on my account before he got a PS4, right?
Oh my god.
and then he got his own platinum by playing through it again once he got his own PS4.
I think if those games were aesthetically pleasing to you, I think you could get into them. I don't think you're down with the dark gothic.
Yeah, I mean, I love Castlevania, so I don't hate.
True. I don't know why they.
They just don't work for me. I don't like. There's like a lack of polish in some of the UI design that drives me nuts.
I can agree with that. Yep.
So
no, I can totally. I going back and playing Demon Souls sometimes I'm like, oh my god, like, yeesh. If you were gonna play one, I would still recommend 3. I've said that multiple times on this show. I think 3 is the most accessible Souls game and is actually really accepting of newcomers. Like that game's very like friendly is probably the wrong word, but like it plays like a traditional video game where like it gets harder as you go through. It is not like curb stompingly hard at the start. And I think that's actually really good for it. But yeah, I think if they maybe came out with a new aesthetic or a new gimmick, which is why I'm sitting here keeping my fingers crossed that at the PlayStation Experience thing in December, From Software finally announces whatever the hell they're working on. But I don't think they will.
I want them to announce new platforms. Did you hear about Romancing Saga 2?
Mm-mm.
So is that a yes or no?
No, that was a mm-mm.
Oh, so, Saga series. So Romancing Saga 2, they remade it and it came out on mobile like last year. And they had said that the Vita version would be coming west because of fan demand. And it's finally time for it to come west. And they just tweeted a few days ago that it's coming west for Vita and other platforms. So if we can get Romancing Saga 2 on like Switch or PS4, that would be amazing because I miss playing Saga games that aren't Unlimited Saga.
Well, I mean, you have a Saga game coming out in Octopath Traveler. I mean, can we just...
Yeah, this is true. It's
a freaking Saga game, for God's sake. Like,
it is. Saga mixed with Bravely, kind of.
I'm not complaining about that. I think that's a-okay. And they're taking, we talked about Octopath a little bit, but it came back up in my thought process the other day. They're really taking the same approach that Team Ninja did with Neo, of like listening to criticisms, and they put out like that report saying like, here's what people thought of Octopath. Like they thought this was a little too dark and they wanted us to work on this and this. And that made Neo a much, much better game than what it looked like a year before release. So I'm really hopeful that I thought Octopath was very, very fun when I played, but I'm a little worried that battle system might turn into oh god, what's the game?
Default.
No. Other DS game that I should love, but I don't.
Radiant Historia.
Yes, thank you. The one that just gets very monotonous with its combat.
Yeah.
I can see Octopath going down that
path.
But I like the fact that they're listening to fan responses on that. I wonder when the hell we get that next year. Maybe summer?
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I'm guessing summer or fall, for my guess.
I'd be down with that. That's about the time we'll be getting the Switch redesign that's going to make me really angry.
Right? Yeah. It's going to be thinner.
Here's double the
battery. They need to make a new dock first. They need a new dock first. One that actually outputs power properly. So when it's docked, it actually plays like it should.
Yeah.
We all know they're going to do that, and I'm going to buy the damn thing, and I'm going to be so angry at myself.
We're all going to do that.
Yeah, we killed the battery on the Switch really fast during Thanksgiving. Like, I was really surprised. Like, I wish that thing had slightly better battery life. I know. Battery life drives me nuts on that damn thing. I love it, though.
Oh, I just bought for Black Friday sales, they had SanDisk micro SD cards on sale for Amazon at $128.
I got it.
$28.
That's from my game. Right now.
Jackie's old phone, we were going to put a micro SD in there, but then we ended up getting pixels, so I guess I'm just going to put that micro SD in the Switch. I don't think I have to tell her, right? I don't have to tell her. Like, she's not going to use it in anything, right? It's fair game now. It's fair game.
You say so.
Let's put that right. She has gotten really good at Mario. She has been playing the shit out of Mario. So she's almost ready for.
She can teach you some tricks.
No,
she's you how to get good.
She's really bad at the butt stomp, jump, hat flip, jump. Like, she's really bad at that. So whenever she needs to get on like a super high platform, I'm the one that does that. That's where you butt stomp, and then at the top of your jump, you throw your hat, and then you land on the hat, and you jump off of it. So you get like a double jump.
Yeah,
that's really good for getting to some platforms.
There's some complex moves in that game.
I still think that game should use more than 2 buttons. Like the motion controls, especially when you need to be precise.
Yeah.
Wait, what do you want?
Give me a button to do the circular hat flip.
Yeah, that's like, really hard to pull off, especially if you're in handheld mode.
Wait, the thing where it goes around you?
Yes.
Yeah. You know how you can rotate the stick, right? You can rotate the stick in a circle and press, like, just rotate it once and press Y, and he'll throw it all around him.
Sort of like a Bayonetta move. Okay.
That is not what the game says. So bad game.
I think. Yeah, you should be able to spin Mario around using an analog stick, and then, like, you gotta. You know how if you spin enough, he starts to like do the rotate thing, where he does the weird flower jump. Where his arms are spinning in a circle. Like, I think if you just initiate that and then throw it, I want to say that's. Maybe I'm crazy, but I'm like 90% sure you can. I can boot it up right now and find out.
There's
please.
There's one part on the ultimate devil challenge at the end of that game where you are climbing up a pole that is sinking into lava, and so you have to do the thing where like you're shaking the controller at the same time you're holding Y to go up, but it requires such precision movement that if you move Mario around the pillar, it's going to get you killed. So now you're shaking a controller and trying to hold the analog stick in place. That just doesn't feel good. Like, there's some moments in that game where it really needs precision that are infuriating, like absolutely infuriating. And maybe I just don't have the patience for it, but I think
what about the
2 buttons?
What about the homing move with the cap? You have I don't know how you do that without.
I've never gotten that to consistently work.
You have to shake the controller, the Joy-Cons to do that. So it's like, I mean, like, they're fun, but it's like, I feel a little weird in that there are some moves that you can only do using motion controls. Also, trying to play that game when you're like at the gym and you have the Joy-Con separate from the Switch itself is frustrating as all heck because you cannot turn off motion control.
Yeah,
Right.
that's the
Okay.
thing. Go
I
ahead,
just
Derek.
booted it up, confirmed. So if you spin the left stick around like maybe twice very quickly, he'll start to do his rotate thing. Hold down the hat button, the throw
And then
button, and he will do it every time.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's good to know.
The other thing is like when you're in the tank and you're trying to shoot things, it is using motion control at the same time you're using the analog stick, and there's no way to turn that off.
Right. Yeah,
That's
bothered me
dumb.
too.
Yeah.
Like that was the first thing. I know a lot of people swear by it in Zelda, but I turned off the motion control. I just
Oh,
don't.
really? I did really like that, but
I got
Okay.
used to it in Zelda, but
At least you
can
can
do
turn
that,
it
yeah.
off.
yeah,
Go ahead, Nick.
that's
What was that?
true.
Nathan?
I just turned mine off too when I played Zelda.
Yeah, I just it's one of those things where I love the simplicity of Mario, but there's a couple times where it works against it. I for the life of me couldn't get one moon with a frog jump because I didn't realize I'd do the shaky controller to get the super frog jump.
Oh, right, yeah.
That was a little like, okay, game, that's a dick move. Like that's a dick move. All right.
For real.
Well, Mario is a fantastic RPG. It has a wonderful upgrade system where you
Yeah,
get
very
new
robust.
clothes.
You can outfit your character with different equipment.
But it is weird. Like for some reason, I found it way more compelling than Zelda because like just getting the moons was fun enough on its own.
Mm-hmm.
But like
Yeah.
Zelda, I started getting tired of going to the shrines because I was like, well, I get the 4 things and then I'll get a health upgrade, and I don't know. It'll be interesting.
Yeah,
Mm.
I don't know. I enjoyed Mario more than Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, and I still like Breath of the Wild, and I'll be interested to see how they incorporate RPG mechanics into their Metroid open world game, where like Samus has to kill like 50 Metroids in order to get a health
please no.
increase.
No, let's not do that.
I was remembering, Derek, you were so mean on Samus Returns on the last episode. Like
F that game.
you got hostile. I disagree with you, but I understand all your criticisms. I disagree with you. I think you're a little harsh, but
Yeah, I
You
am
have
definitely
the
harsh on
it is that game does not have the Metroid backtracking that I wish it did,
it. Mm-hmm.
and everything does kind of look the same. It's a little
Yeah.
big for big sake.
Yeah,
Mm.
it's one of those, like, I don't objectively think it's a piece of garbage. I mean, everything is subjective, so that's a stupid thing to say anyway. But, yeah, no, I don't think it's terrible. I just would argue that it's not the best Metroid game we've had in a long time, even close to that.
I think it is by virtue of the fact that the last game was zero mission. So, like,
yeah, but I'm saying there are, like,
Yeah.
so many non-Metroid games
Oh,
that
yeah.
have come out that
definitely.
are in that style that are so vastly superior. Yeah.
The one thing I did want to bring up, because I don't know if I said it during the pre-show warm-up last episode or during that episode, I do love the way Samus controls in that game. Like,
It's
I
pretty good. Yeah.
adore the way she controls. Like that, for what they were able to do on that 3DS with that little nub, even though the rubber on my nub came off because I was playing that game so hard.
The
like,
rubber on your nub.
The rubber on my nub came off, Derek. Can you help me?
Yeah.
But like it's really impressive what they were able to do control wise with that. There were moments of like, there's no way I'm going to be able to pull that off, and then I did, and I was like, ooh, that feels really good. I like that.
Good.
It's a good game. You play a role.
You play a role. You sure
You
do.
play a role. All right. Apparently, I need to go to Costco and buy some stuff, and
Hey,
then
we need to go to Costco too.
oh, cool. And then I do the hot dogs. I know I hate myself, but I love them.
Oh, you get the hot dog burps from those though.
I know, but I love them, Derek. I'm a slut for like just bad like bar food, burgers, hot dogs. Like I'm gonna be dead by the time I'm 40. Like bring it on. Like let's do
You're
this.
here for a good time, not for a long time.
I am here to kick ass and chew bubble gum, and I am all out of gum. I was
That
not
was a
Duke
fun
Nukem
time.
there. I was the late Roddy Piper. Thank you very much from They Live. But yeah, apparently we need to go do a Costco run, and then when I get home, I'm going to beat Danganronpa V3, and I might have to yell at you.
Feel free to call me.
I did want to ask: is the without spoilers, is the time limit on that last thing real?
It's per action, not per like real time. So every time you open a door or click on something, time advances.
Can I actually fail that?
Yes, and I did, but it'll just dump you back a little bit earlier with more stamina, so you can't like perma fail.
Okay,
We'll
okay,
might have to
okay.
redo some.
I do like what it's building up to, and we need to do a spoiler cast on that. We need to. We need to get
Sure
like
do.
you, me, Alana, and Solosi on that, and we just need to spoiler cast the crap out of that game because I think I'm going to be like you guys. I'm so conflicted on it. There are things I absolutely love, and then there is, it's a weird game.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
Sure
weird
is.
game. It's really weird. I
That's-
don't know how I feel about it.
Definitely the most contentious, I think, in the franchise, no question.
During the 5th trial, when the dude came out with like just the big reveal, I was like, "That there's no way that's the big reveal," because I guessed that in the first chapter. So where the hell are you guys going? I was just like, "There's no way." I guessed all this stuff, and it's not the end of the game. So there's no way that this is the reveal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God.
Have
Oh.
fun.
Also, I was so upset about when what's his face died.
Me too.
I was
Me
so
too.
upset.
I was so mad about that
I
one.
loved him so much, and I was like, no, come
How could
on.
this happen? I know. Well, that's Danganronpa for you. So. Okay, well, you continue to enjoy that, and we should probably wrap this up. So
Yes, we're going to wrap
this.
this up. Okay, we got a little random there at the end on an episode of
On Random Encounter.
Who would have thought? All right, so Nathan, did you have fun on your first episode?
Yeah, it was a good time. I'm looking forward to doing this again.
We're loud. I apologize. We're loud and opinionated around here.
Yeah,
Oh,
we've
good.
done this. We've learned to talk over each other a lot. Not trying to be rude, but Rob and I have to like do that to communicate at this point. So,
It's alright. When you listen to me on my own podcast, even I'm a little quiet there. So,
oh, please, by all means, what
Plug!
podcast should we listen to?
I'll direct you the link after.
No, I'm
No,
telling
this
you.
is what
Announce
we're
it.
giving you a chance to shill it on the podcast there, Nathan. Come on.
So I run my own Nintendo themed podcast with a friend of mine, and we post it on YouTube.
Okay, cool.
So if
And,
it's
and what is
anything
it called?
we call it the Big N right now. It's the Big N
Oh,
podcast.
cool. Okay, Big N podcast.
Yeah.
Cool. I can just imagine that when I was complaining about Super Mario Odyssey, Nathan was just the Arthur gif of the fist, just the whole time.
Well, I actually haven't got around to it yet, so we'll see if I'll agree with that or not.
I adore that game, but man, did I get toward the end and whoo, the rage started coming out. Woo. Anybody who says that Mario Odyssey is not hard, I'm like, yeah, just keep playing.
Oh yeah, it gets hard for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like it.
most Mario games do it by the end. They get
Yeah, it's super nice until you get to the end of that game, and then it's just like I am the Dark Souls of Super Mario games.
Why not
Yes.
get to be happy?
I love you, Derek. I love you. You're not coming to MagFest, are you?
Probably not.
Derek.
I know. I'm going to New Jersey for New Year's.
Oh, hey, that's right in our
New Jersey.
wheelhouse. You should stop by and say hi. Jackie will give you alcohol.
Oh, okay. I'll be there.
Lord knows we got like 50 bottles of scotch upstairs. So, anywho, thank you everybody for listening to the podcast. For Derek, Caitlin, and Nathan, we will see you all later.
See you.
The Dark Souls of Costco runs.
They just don't let you in when you show the ID.
Cleric Beast and in the sample aisle like dun 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 dun.
You actually know the music because you've heard it so much.
That song is good.
The song is really good. The song is really good. Oh, woo!
That Muppet Vicar Amelia. I know way too much about Bloodborne, having never played it myself.
Hey there,
Vicar
Bert.
Amelia is a Muppet. You can't deny that.
Okay, no, she is. She is. All right, we're stopping this now.